Hi guys, welcome to Punneit Astrology, your one-stop astro channel. And today we are going to discuss about the Saturn transit into the sign of Capricorn. So after 2.5 years, when the Saturn made its move into the sign of Sagittarius, it's all going to get over on 24th of January of 2020. And Saturn is about to move into the zodiac of Capricorn, which is the natural 10th house, and also it is the own house of Shani. Capricorn and Aquarius are the two zodiac signs which are ruled by Shani, and Shani is going to be in these two zodiacs for the next 5 years. But for the Capricorn as a zodiac, the Saturn will make its first move, and what will happen when the Shani, which is the Karma Phal planet, moves into the karmic house of Capricorn? We will discuss in details in this video. Ascendant wise analysis timestamp is given in the description box below. You can first view the general analysis and then move to your particular ascendant to get to know a brief view on what is going to happen for you. But do not forget to hit like, subscribe and share, and hit the bell icon so that you never miss another update, and stay connected. So guys, subscribe, stay connected. Shani, Saturn, the planet of karma, the planet of karma phal, that means the result or the fruits of your own karma, is now going from the house of dharma to the house of karma. That means the karma is going to be the theme of life for the next 2.5 years, where you will have to act, and then only you will get the reward of your actions, and you will naturally be inclined towards making your dreams come into existence, making your dreams fulfilled. Shani is a very slow planet. It moves 2.5 years. It takes 2.5 years to transit from one house and reach the other house. And in this year 2020, on January 24th, Shani, Saturn, will make its transit into the sign of Capricorn. Mind it, this is from the Indian Vedic system and not from the Western system. So for few people this may be confusing. So you have to follow the Indian sidereal astrology to follow Saturn transit, which I am talking about. Now, when the Saturn or the Shani will make its move from the sign of Sagittarius, we have to understand what it did when it was in Sagittarius from this time. Saturn tried to establish dharma. Saturn tried to recorrect the line of approach towards what is right and what is wrong. Saturn tried to create controversy. Saturn tried to create conflicts of mind and all sorts of karma towards the dharma or what to do. A lot of thinking was done during these 2.5 years. Right now, Saturn is with Jupiter and Ketu. Saturn was with Ketu since March 2019, and Saturn was completely trying to split the zodiac apart, split the ideology, and Saturn kind of was willing that you should forget your past, you should forget what you are holding on to, and time to come into a new existence, time to come into a new dimension was here. That was Saturn trying to tell you. When Jupiter came into Sagittarius in November 2019 for a brief period of say 3 months, Saturn, Jupiter and Ketu was once again together. I have always mentioned this, that this is the transit of the millennium, where these three planets, the Dharma, Karma and the Moksha, gets combined into the house of Dharma, which gives each one of us a blessed insight into each one of our life to get to know a peak view about what the Dharma is, what the right path is. Yes, it will always come with a lot of confusion because Ketu is blind, Jupiter is wisdom and Saturn is karma. So it says you have to do the karma, then only you will get the wisdom, but it will not be easy because Ketu makes light go away. So it means that in the darkness you have to search for the needle, but that is a test that you have to pass, and that is what the Saturn was doing with you. Saturn was taking all the possible tests to check the willingness that are you ready to learn. Those who proved themselves right that they are ready to learn are now moving ahead and going into new scales, new heights, new dimensions, new frontiers are open to them, and those who have provided resistance may complain that their life has always been into turmoil from the past 2.5 years. I'm not saying you are the wrong. I'm not saying that whenever something is happening with you, it means you should not resist. But this time, when the Shani dominated period is now coming up for the next 5 years, what you have to do is accept, learn, maybe understand your horoscope in a better way and try to create a more spiritual understanding and learn how to implement that in your life. Till date, it was all about learning, all about experience, all about transformation. But now in the future, it's all about how can you put that transformation in reality? What are you doing on the ground? What is the ground level work that you have done to improve your life? Are you taking necessary action to improve yourself or not? That is going to be the theme for the next 2.5 to 5 years. When the Saturn is in the edges of Capricorn, there is one very special event that is happening which many of us ignore because it is a very a minute event, an event of merely a month or so. But there is something very fascinating happening right now as we talk. Sun and Saturn is making a very close transit. That means Saturn is slow, but Sun is crossing around Saturn, therefore making Shani go combust, but also Sun and Shani comes very close. First in the zodiac of Sagittarius. Now when the Surya on the 15th of January made its transit to Capricorn or Makar Rashi, Shani will again join Surya on 24th of January. So this dual conjunction of Surya and Shani, Sun and Saturn in first in Sagittarius and the second in Capricorn ensures that you give up your will, you sacrifice your ego, and you create a new will, a new willingness, a new capacity, a new potential without any ahamkar or ego, and you are grounded and presented with reality, and you exactly know what to do when your soul is put into action. When Sun was transiting and passing over Shani, Shani who was dominating and working along with Jupiter and Ketu for the establishment of dharma in your life, and dharma I mean the right path, the positive path, and not the religion in specific sense. So when the Shani was trying to establish the dharma, your soul's personal involvement was needed. So your soul went and crossed Shani to see and face the reality, maybe in a smaller or in a larger scale. That is totally dependent upon your horoscope, where your Sagittarius is, but you will face the reality of life, at least one area of the life from where you were facing the trouble, and Sun has now crossed into Capricorn. The soul was put into action, and now soul is thinking what to do when the Shani comes in and again makes it into work. Sun was purified by this, and because of this there was a mutual bonding between Sun and Saturn, Surya and the Shani, and we all know, however the conflicting they may sound, they are father and son. So in this way they have a very close relationship. They are the two farthest corners of the celestial space if we take it in a linear sense, and this way we are trying to connect the two ends of our life, one on the left hand and one on the right hand, and this is a time to find out the middle path, find out the right solution. So that is why on one side Shani, which denies and delays and as provides restrictions and obstructions, meets soul who is free, to whom if I say nothing applies. Soul is free. That why we say nanam shidanti shastrani nanam dahati pavaka na chanam kledyantyaapo na shoshyati maruta. It was written and said by Shri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita that no one can cut the soul, burn the soul can't die, it can only transform, but Shani transforms the soul. So in this way your mind and your will and your passion and your life is getting into a different dimension, and this is the time when you stop thinking, and whatever you have learned, this is the time to put it into practice. Now when Saturn or the Shani will make its transit into the Makar Rashi or the Capricorn Rashi, Shani will be in the Uttarashada Nakshatra. When the Shani transits from Uttarashada, it will make its move to Shravana, and from the Shravana it makes its moves to the Dhanishta. Now understand the three orientation of the nakshatra. End of the war, listen to the problems, and then fight for the resignation. So the kind of energy that the Saturn will carry in the Capricorn zodiac is that whatever tussle you have in your mind right now, first of all you have to end that tussle. You have to work towards finding solution towards problems in your life. Then you have to actually listen to what you have learned. So maybe help of a guru, help of an astrologer will be needed to understand your own life, your own horoscope, your own dimensions. And once that is done, you will be ready to conquer, ready to be the leader, ready to get the designation. But this is the time where all the deserving people will get what they deserve. Sooner or later, they will be placed into the right situation, right position that they need at this moment in their life. Also understand that after what is happening is that the Saturn is going to be in the sign of Capricorn, whereas Jupiter will be in the zodiac of Sagittarius. But Ketu is going to be along with Jupiter. This means a lot of people will quit their natural instincts toward a certain subject and they will move and try to adhere or try to accept a new dimension, a new technology, a new understanding, a new point of view. So Shani will make you understand a different point of view in this life. But both are dharmic, both means right, but maybe whatever you were thinking were actually not applicable at this point of time. So whatever is applicable and practical will be accepted by you, and unless you do that, your life will face resistance, your life will face problems, obstacles, restrictions, because this is the working principle of Shani. When Jupiter is along with Ketu, the dharma is being established, but Ketu being a blind planet, you have to understand the knowledge that you are getting should be right, the kind of wisdom that you are following should be right, and when you are putting into practice, Shani is not going to listen anything. Shani will always read by your karma, and whatever you put as a karma is going to be registered and will be given as a karma phal. So you have to be very sure that this is the right time to implement whatever you have learned, but before that, be grounded, be practical, and understand what you have learned, whether that part is right and justified and is right to humanity or not. Now Shani coming into the sign of Capricorn goes into the natural 10th house from the Kalpurush, and therefore it becomes a karma pradhan or karma dominated year of life. So karma is the theme. You have to do a lot of things, a lot of good things. Try to help a lot of poor people, try to help the needy, and try to help the old people, and this will give you enough amount of energy needed to surpass the negativity that may come up. Any restriction, any obstruction that you feel or realize that is coming in this time, you must bow down to it, you must accept it, and if you feel that it is unjustified, it is unworthy, then just try to find a workaround, but do not give a head-on collision, because Saturn is not willing to bow down and Saturn is not willing to give up so easy, because Capricorn is a very rigid sign. Capricorn is a sign where the light is bright and the light is highest because sun goes very strong, because this is the 10th house and this is the afternoon time from the Kalpurush. 10th house is always very strong and very bright in presence of Surya, and that is why Shani is going to spread the light, but this is the light through practice. So whatever you have learned, you have to put into practice, you have to put and prove that you are worthy. Now this is one factor. For any designation, promotion, for any effort, for anything, you have to always keep on proving that you are worthy of getting that particular thing that you have always tried for. So if you are worthy, if it is justified, you are definitely going to get it. But if you are not, no matter how hard you try, it will just not happen. So you have to get your horoscope checked, maybe understand more about astrological insight about your horoscope, and this will give you an idea how your horoscope is trying to give you, and maybe something else is written for you. Maybe an alternate is the best way. Maybe whatever you are thinking, whatever you are moving is right now not the right way. And 24th January will mark the date when the resistance will begin. So if you are feeling that whatever task you are doing has been so far so smooth and no obstruction is coming, that means you are on the right track. It is always good to have a review done through astrological insights that you can do from any learned astrologer. But if you are feeling that there has been a lot of obstruction and you are just not feeling right, there has been suddenly a rise of problem and suddenly your work has stopped, that means somewhere you're doing something wrong. You need to start working on those parts, because you cannot do a shortcut when the Saturn is in Capricorn. When Shani is in Makar Rashi, Shani will have its third aspect on Pisces, seventh aspect on Cancer, and Shani will have the 10th aspect on the zodiac of Libra. First of all, the third aspect on Pisces defines sacrifice. This shows how much efforts you are putting in to first of all sacrifice, because now Saturn will demand giving up before taking in. So can you provide sacrifice? Can you do something for other people? Can you do necessary efforts to provide help to those who are in need? That is what the third aspect of Shani in Pisces means. Then the Shani has seventh aspect in the sign of Cancer. Cancer is the comfort zone. Shani is saying, can you quit the comfort zone? Can you leave the comfort zone? Shani will aspect the moon's zodiac Cancer. That means your mind will be completely under control. And that means the place from where the thoughts originate is now going to be questioned. So if you are feeling too comfortable, if you're trying to adhere to the comfort zone, if you're trying to be rigid, and if you're not flexible enough, you're not movable enough, Shani will question your approach, and you will be questioned by authorities, you will be questioned by your own family. Whereas if you follow all these norms, Saturn's 10th aspect falls on his exalted zodiac of Libra and creates balance. So Shani will always try to create balance in society, balance everywhere, and if not, Shani will try to put you off the balance, so that in order to bring in the balance, you follow these practices. And this is how the Shani is going to operate when Shani is going to be the sign of Capricorn. So now let us find out, ascendant by ascendant, what is the Saturn transit in Capricorn means from Aries to Pisces. So stay tuned, and once again, subscribe and stay connected. Coming to ascendant number 1, Aries ascendant. For Aries ascendant people, Saturn transit will happen on the sign of Capricorn in the 10th house. Now when Shani goes into the 10th house, the karma house gets all the power. Saturn will try to put you into action. You will have to actually become very, very strong, give up the self-attachment to things that you always thought of is going to turn out in your favor, and now you have to face the reality. The reality comes with sacrifice, reality comes with sacrificing the comfort zone, sacrificing the emotions, and now time to gain the balance between work and personal life, maybe trying to strike a balance between the good and the bad side of and you have to find the best of you. You have to find out the middle path, and the Shani will ensure that you find out the path, but you must find a mentor that can guide you. Remember, your ascendant Aries is the sign of debilitation of Shani, so Shani will provide some sort of resistance in your case. Although the 10th house shows career improvement, 10th house of Shani shows a lot of progress in life, but this also comes up with a certain share of hardships. 11th Lord is in the 10th house. That means the expectations will change. You have to give up your expectations. You have to give up all the loads that you are carrying, unnecessary things that you are carrying, and you have to free yourself while increasing the dimension of restriction. Now remember, again I will repeat this, you have to free yourself by changing or increasing the dimension of restriction. That is the way by which you can prove that you are worthy of Saturn's blessings, and you will get what you are looking for so long. Next is Taurus ascendant. In case of Taurus ascendant, Saturn is going to transit in your 9th house. Right now Saturn is in your 8th house, and Saturn will make its move into your 9th house, ensuring that your dharma and the karma are united. Why? The 10th Lord is also Shani in your case, which is Aquarius, and Saturn, which is the 10th Lord, goes into the 9th house. In this case, the karma is your dharma. That means to do is the right path for you. Now, also your 8th Lord Jupiter is in the 8th house, so you will get a lot of occult knowledge and a lot of occult wisdom will come into picture, but you have to ensure that the right amount of occult information comes into place. You should not go into blind following of these practices. You must apply your brain and then find your way out. If you are too much fond of occult science, if you're too much into this practice, you should be segregated by now, and you should be clear-headed which path to take and which path to ignore. Also, what you have to do is you must find out any obligation that is left towards grandparents or father, and you must complete that. Saturn's third aspect on the 11th house is going to ensure that your expectation comes into fulfillment, but provided you prove your worthiness. Because this is like a Santa Claus formation of Shani, when Shani is in the 9th house trying to control your destiny, while the third aspect of the Shani falls on the 11th house, making you struggle for the source of income. But Shani being the Karm Phal Data, if you prove that you are worthy of getting what you were always wanting, you will get what you want. Saturn's aspect on the 6th house will ensure that there is a balance of the enemies and the balance of a day-to-day activity in your life. You will have a lot of stability coming up in your daily activities, but only if you follow a certain path, only if you follow a certain disciplinary method. Otherwise, these areas of the life will go into chaos, because only if they are in chaos, you will have attention towards that and you will try to work to correct that area. This is the way of working of Shani. So you must listen and bow down in gratitude and chant Om Sham Shaneshwaraya Namah in case of any trouble. Next zodiac is Gemini zodiac. In case of Gemini zodiac, Shani is going to transit into your 8th house. Now this is a very crucial transit for all Gemini people, whether you are the moon sign or you are the ascendant. From the moon sign, your Ashtam Dhaya is beginning, which is a very different Dhaya. And from the ascendant, if you see, your 9th lord goes into the 8th house. And not only that, Rahu is on your ascendant. So Rahu is on the ascendant, Shani is in his own house in the 8th house, and 9th lord goes into the 8th house, shows this is the time when you suddenly take up a new role, a challenging thing, and you go out from all the inhibitions. This Shani is not the boundary creator, but this Shani is the boundary breaker. This is the 8th house, house of surprise, so you will have to take on a lot of surprise from the life and you have to face the challenges. But every time you face that surprise, face the challenge, you will come out with out of the box solutions which will give you the path of progress, because Rahu in the 1st house will ensure that you always have this rebel kind of thinking where you will go all out against your problems, and that will help you into being a new person and having a new beginning in this life. Shani in the 8th house will also ensure that you get all the groundedness that is needed from the spiritual side, and Shani in the 8th house will also ensure that you take care of your health. If you are not taking care of your health, if you are into smoking, drinking, if you are into any kind of addiction, you must quit it. This is the right time, because then the health will be impacted. Saturn in the 8th house will also ensure that your enemies may be stronger against you, so you should be very tactful. You should be very alert in your life so that you do not face any negative circumstances. For the Cancer ascendant people, Saturn will be in the 7th house. Now this is kind of one of the most beautiful placement of Shani, because Saturn when it goes into the 7th house, first of all it opens up the marriage areas of your life. It gives you a lot of discipline in your life. The surroundings and the circumstance will be disciplinary. People will try to criticize you and bound you and restrict you, but you have to be level-headed and be very calm and polite and be in a very gratitudeful attitude, and this will give you a lot of success. Saturn directly aspects your ascendant, 9th and 4th house, so therefore Saturn will closely read whether if you are following a dharma, if you are trying to be too comfortable, and what kind of personality you are trying to become. The moment you try to deviate away from the path of positivity, Saturn will ensure that some or the other person will come and tell you something to bring you back on that path. So this life, in this 1.5 years, you must ensure that you listen carefully to what other people are saying, what is happening around you, because that is going to give you a great deal of information. Next ascendant is Leo. In case of Leo, Saturn is going to be in the 6th house. Now Saturn is said to be very good in 6th house for one reason. Saturn is a daily activity person. 6th house is the house of repeated activities. So in this case, Shani makes the discipline come into the daily activity, a daily routine, a mundane routine will be followed. It may be a bit boring, but this is the exact way from which you can find yourself the success, the peace, and the positivity that you wanted in your life. Now when Shani goes into the 6th house, it will also ensure that you take great care of your health. Your focus is towards your health, your focus is towards yoga, your focus is towards pranayam and spiritual and holistic healing, and that is also one area to go into if you are feeling unhealthy, if you have any kind of health concern. Saturn's 3rd aspect into the 8th house and Saturn's 7th aspect into the 12th house actually covers 6, 8 and 12, all trick houses. Because all the negative houses are now being under the control of Shani. First of all, you have to be very, very alert that you should not make Saturn angry by doing wrong karma. If Shani gets angry, remember all the negative houses are in the control of Shani, and Shani can teach you something through certain experience, certain process, certain path, by certain amount of struggle, and if that happens, you will be bound to follow the path of Shani. So listen to what is happening around you, listen to the call of the planet and act accordingly. For you, it's like a total freedom or total foundation. So just be alert. Now in case of Virgo ascendant, Saturn goes into the 5th house. When Shani moves into the 5th house, it shows that you will work towards your children, you will have the concerns towards your child, the productivity of life, and you would want the creative expression to be structured. Now there is the contradiction. Shani is not a creative planet. 5th house is the house of expression, creativity, learning. So it's more about, before you speak, you must learn the subject before you deal with it. So this shows that you will have a lot of learnings involved in the upcoming 2.5 years. You will have to upgrade yourself, upskill yourself, and you must always constantly work towards being productive by being structured. So if your productivity is being hampered, if the output is not right, that means you need to structure your life. You need to get up at the fixed time, you need to sleep at a fixed time, and you have to follow a certain kind of pattern in your life, and that will give you a lot of positivity. Saturn's third aspect into the 7th house shows that your willingness towards your marriage, your efforts towards your marriage should be very high. You should be ready to sacrifice. You should be ready to ignore few things, accept few things in marriage, and accept few things, and accept few criticism from a lot of people, because Saturn is the planet of bowing down. Saturn is the planet of acceptance. So you must accept that criticism. You must accept whatever harsh, good, bad, ugly comes in front of you. First of all, accept it. Thank the universe for giving that energy, and then you try to see how you will deal with it. If it is negative for you, how you can stay away from it, and if it is positive, how you can accept it. But first of all, you have to understand whatever happens is happening for your own good, and this understanding will help you in the long run. Saturn's 10th aspect falls on your 2nd house. So what you eat and what you speak, Saturn is going to watch that closely. So be alert while speaking the negativity. Then comes the Libra, the 7th zodiac. For Libra ascendant people, Shani goes into the 4th house. Now when Shani goes into the 4th house, it shows that all your dues towards your homeland, country, mother, these things will be improved. Shani in the 4th house in the Makar ensures that you may have your own property, you may buy a new vehicle, or you may go out of your country, stay away from your mother in case your moon is afflicted, and you may have a foreign travel, you may have a travel because of any certain reason, be it education, be it job. Saturn in 4th house also ensures that there may be some delay in the new home that you are making, in a construction, in buying a property. This is the good time to buy a certain property. And Saturn in the 4th house also ensures that you really work towards your comfort zone. Now your comfort will be into doing a repeated activity. Your comfort will be into following a discipline. If you are not following a discipline, you will immediately find yourself into a very uncomfortable situation that you have to deal with it. One wrong step, one wrong sign of complacency, and you will see enemies rising in front of you, and then you will have to deal with it with your own might and efforts. So be very careful in that area. Saturn's 10th aspect falls on your 1st house. This means right now you have to really work towards yourself, work towards core areas of your life, work towards your negative side, and then try to be comfortable with your own self. First of all, accept who you are, and then you try to build your personality. This is a very good time for you because you are the ascendant of exaltation of Shani. You are the sign of exaltation, Libra. So Saturn is only going to improve and give a level-headed approach in your life. Now for the 8th zodiac, Scorpio. Saturn is going to transit your 3rd house. So when Saturn goes into the 3rd house, it simply means that efforts have to be very grounded. Efforts have to be very practical in nature. Whatever you are trying to do, you have to be very, very grounded and practical. And this also shows that your your tussle or your arguments with your brother will be sorted out. Short distance travel have to be structured carefully, and you should not be random with your plans, random with your efforts. You have to be very careful where you are putting your efforts into and what are the results you are going to get. So careful analysis of the feasibility factor has to be done, and you have to do a lot of homework before you actually take the situation in your hand. But this also means that you have to take the responsibility of a lot of things in your hand, and that responsibility has to be dealt with whether you like it or not. This may come out as a burden on you, but this is where the positivity will come in. This is where the growth will come in. Saturn's third aspect on the 5th house shows that you will find struggle into actually making people understand, but you will be the one who will have to understand other people's thoughts. But this is good. This is good. Why? Because Saturn's 10th aspect falls on your 12th house, and in this case Saturn will try to ensure that you have minimal amount of loss or damage, and that is what is the best of this transit for you. Sagittarius ascendant, you have been facing the Saturn transit from the last 2.5 years. Saturn is going to go in your second house. So when Shani goes into your second house, all you have to do is be very careful about your expenses, be very careful about the savings, do long-term savings, and be very careful about what you speak. Try to speak the justice. Do not try to take sides without knowing the right without having the right information, and be very, very polite and show warmth and positivity in your speech. Do not show coldness, because Saturn will make your speech too practical, too dark and too cold, and in this case you will feel that negativity is being followed by whatever you speak. So be positive, be optimistic in your approach. Saturn's second house presence will have the third aspect on the 4th house, and in this case you have to work towards and find out a new comfort zone for you. Now Saturn has the 10th aspect on your 11th house, and this is where the stability of income comes into picture. Both the Dhan Bhav are with Shani. So if your karma is good, if you are doing the right path, if you're following the right path, you will have great financial stability coming up. But if you're not following the right path, then the financial stability goes into question. So if you are facing a lot of financial issue, this is the time to chant the Shani mantra and do some remedy for Shani, and for that you may have to contact a learned astrologer. The Jupiter on your first house along with Ketu may misguide you, but you have to be very much sure that from the Jupiter you take the necessary strength, you get off the personality with which you are in right now and find out a new personality, and always speak the truth. Now for the Capricorn zodiac, Saturn will transit on your ascendant. From the last 2.5 years, Saturn was in your 12th house, and because of this presence, your life was somewhere difficult, unorganized. It involved a lot of travel, a lot of movement. But now Shani is going to give you stability by coming on your ascendant. But this is also clubbed with a lot of discipline on the personal side, on the body side. So you have to do yoga, you have to do pranayama, and you have to stabilize your physical self first before you stabilize anything else. Now while Saturn transit for Capricorn is very crucial, let me give a brief on that. 3rd house is the house of efforts. 10th house is the house of karma. Now Saturn 10th aspect falls on the 10th house. Saturn 3rd aspect falls on 3rd house, and Saturn's 7th aspect falls on 7th house. So the aspect relation with houses are exactly the same. 3rd house is the house of efforts, again the karma. 10th house is actually the house of karma, fame, name, designation. So again the 10th house comes into question. And 7th house is 10th from 10th. So by the rule of Bhavat Bhavam, 7th house become higher order karma. Shani is controlling all these 3 houses of karma while sitting on your ascendant, who is the karmic house, and Saturn being the planet of karma also makes a lot of karmic connection into this, and because of this karmic connection, Shani will ensure that every single step that you take, every single thought that you have in your mind will be registered and given straight results right in front of you. So what you have to do, you have to ensure that your karma is always correct and you always follow the right path. Now comes the 11th zodiac, Aquarius. Now in case of Aquarius, Saturn transit happens on the 12th house. Now in this case, your 11th house movement is happening. The Saturn from the 11th house is going into the 12th house, so you have to be very careful about your expense. You may go and relocate into a different area. Your life will take a big turn. Your ascendant lord goes into the 12th house but goes into his own house. So that means your personality, your identity will change, but you will actually never lose your true self, but it will be a very basic and very important transformation in your life. You have to be very careful about the money that you spend. You have to be very disciplined towards your expenses and maintain a very good routine. And you should ensure that you should not play with your health, because this is the 12th house. Your life may seem restricted, limited, but that's okay, because your life will give you a lot of new chances if you just follow these restrictions and play with positivity. What you have to do is you have to ensure that you should not make Saturn angry by doing any wrong karma, and you have to always look into factors that your karma is correct. Saturn in the 12th house aspects the 7th house, so your duty towards the society has to be now performed, has to be now completed. So now try to be a social worker and give the society, give the world, give the needy whatever you can. Now coming to the 12th zodiac, Saturn transit happens into the 11th house. Now this is a fundamentally brilliant transit, because 11th house is the house of income, house of expectation, wishes, fulfillment, desire, and Saturn goes into that. First of all, what it does is it redefines all these things. So your life will change by redefining the desire. Maybe a certain set of expectations that you had was not correct for you. Now you have a different set of expectation. Now this transition will not happen easily. Saturn 10th house presence has a third aspect on the first house, which clearly means that if you want to do something, you will get it, but you have to really work hard for that. Be ready to work hard, be ready to constantly improve your productivity, and be ready to learn more and more, and maybe go out of the box, take some risks, take some chances, and you will see Saturn helping you. But yes, fundamentally, you have to be grounded, you have to be very positive, and you must not fly high without any parachute. Always have the backup plan ready. This is the fundamentally very positive position for you, but initially you may find the difficult situation, but it will ultimately turn out to be a very positive transit. So seekers, that was the analysis for Saturn transit into the sign of Capricorn. If you like it, do subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon if you have not subscribed. But if you have already subscribed, share the video among your friends, family, and spread the word of astrology. Subscribe, stay connected. This is your host Punneit. Thank you.